legal and administrative measures to recover any amount due ECG and the state as a result of the positive outcome of the international arbitration in the matters between PDS and ECG. Again, we'll bring you other matters where legal team of the former CEO of the NPA, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, accuses the Office of the Special Prosecutor of engaging in public theatrics over claims assets worth over 100 million cedis linked to the case has been seized. A lot later, the Environmental Protection Agency authority launches massive seizure of excavators and shangfan machines used by illegal miners in the Ashanti region. Hello there, welcome to News Central, a brand new day. I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. Now, government says it will take all administrative and legal steps to recover any assets due ECG and the state over contractual dealings with Power Distribution Service, PDS. It follows a favorable determination by the London International Court of Arbitration over disputes which arose over the botched power concession agreement in 2019. PDS dragged ECG and the government of Ghana to the International Court, arguing the country breached terms of the agreement in the decision to terminate the concession agreement between the two. Well, in the last 24 hours, a determination has come through from the London International Court of Arbitration, bringing to an end the near 5-year legal tussle. Let's walk you through some bits of the proceedings and the details and the outcome as we have been made aware of via documentation from the London Court of International Arbitration. And we're going straight onto the dashboard and then glimpses really of what this means going forward. And then we'll look at as well the Energy Ministry and their reaction to all of this in the last 24 hours. And so of the many things that came up, the tribunal's key findings included that one, whether or not PDS's claims were dismissed entirely. That conclusion was very straightforward. It was something that was arrived at plainly if you read bits and pieces of the judgment. It says the tribunal ruled that PDS had no valid basis for compensation or damages. Also, the second finding, the demand guarantees were declared void ab initio, invalid from the outset. And if you remember, going back in the day, there was the back and forth guarantees, precedent, guarantees, subsequent, and what have you, which dominated a lot of the conversation in the aftermath of the termination of the agreement by the government. This is what the Court of Arbitration arrived at, that under both Ghanaian and Qatari law, the guarantees were never legally binding. They go on to say that fraud involving Alkut insurance officials invalidated the guarantees. The tribunal found no evidence of fraud or malfeasance by PDS, but still ruled the guarantees void due to the fraud of third parties. Again, on conditions precedents 24 and 31, they arrived at they were not satisfied or waived. And under these conditions precedents related to providing valid payment securities under the BSA and LLA, and we'll get to understand what the both of them of that means shortly. Their non-fulfillment meant the agreement never reached operational phases, and ECG was entitled to terminate the lease and assignment agreement and bulk supply agreement, which was between the two companies, and the tribunal confirmed that ECG indeed lawfully terminated the agreement. And the transfer dates confirmation letter was also a subject of interrogation by the tribunal. They arrived at the fact that it was found that it was voidable for common mistake, not for misrepresentation, and ECG properly rescinded it through its letters of 30th July and 23rd October 2019. 2019. On jurisdiction, well, matters of jurisdiction came up as well. But let's go a bit more into details as to the LAA and then the BSA. And so the LLA was the main contract between Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and then Power Distribution Services. It is what allowed PDS to lease, manage, and operate ECG's electricity distribution assets for that 20-year period. So substations, the lines, equipment, etc., for a 20-year period. And then there was a BSA, which was a bulk supply agreement, which saw to it that under this, ECG as a power supplier would sell electricity to PDS, which would then distribute and sell to its customers. Because of the many things we're seeking to do, and it is one of the things which has come up under this administration, which is currently going through a number of processes before cabinet, is leasing a concession of some sort where the sale of electricity and its distribution will be taken over by a private company to enable us rake in the needed revenue amongst many other things. There is a statement that's come through as well from the, I get the indication that that's not here with us just as now, from the Energy Ministry, as with a reaction to the development which has come through. I'm just going to walk you through that as well, because the ministry says that they've taken notes that this situation, which is the arbitration, should never have arisen in the first place. They say that the poor decisions during the selection and approval process of a concessionaire at the time, leading to the formation of PDS under the previous administration, directly contributed to what it is that we have seen today, and that the country, Ghana, lost $190 million in the Millennium Compact funding from the U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation in 2019 as a result of those decisions. Then the assurance comes that they will use all necessary legal and administrative steps to recover any amounts due to ECG and the state as a result of the process. We're hoping as well to connect with Richmond Roxon and pick his thoughts as to this. He signed that Energy Ministry letter. A number of you have shared concerns from time immemorial about some monies or revenue which PDS had collected and was not repatriated back to the state when the agreement was terminated. We will seek to find out whether that indeed is the case and whether or not that forms a part of all of the binding monetary agreement we're supposed to be receiving from PDS. But if you read the arbitration document as well, just some minor cost as well was afforded to us by the tribunal as well. Mr. Richmond Roxon has joined us. He's head of communications for the Energy Ministry. He's joined us via the phones. Let's connect with him right now. Richmond, I appreciate you joining us. From the start, this comes off as very good news to the government, considering there will be no concern about judgment debt going forward. But talk to us about this legal and administrative steps you say you're going to be taking to recover all assets belonging to the state from PDS.
Let me say good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your cherished friends. This is good news. The government welcomes this decision. In the first place, we shouldn't have been here. We believe that if the processes commenced a couple of years back by His Excellency the President in his first term, if that administration, previous administration had continued, I'm sure that today we would have seen a better ECG, where we wouldn't have lost $190 million and we wouldn't have been engaged in these needless legal battles. Don't forget that this is not the first legal issue that ECG had to deal with. In 2019, PDS sued after the government itself came to realization that the demand guarantee that was provided was fraudulent. And this is because the government had abandoned the detailed process, which had led to a number of reputable companies come on board to partner with ECG to improve the system. And so we rest assured that, one, this kind of process will not happen again, the process where people's personal interest, selfishness, and greed takes interest ahead of national interest should never happen. And for the administrative steps, the Office of the Attorney General obviously will brief the nation on that. Obviously, will be in court, and then also take administrative steps to recover all monies to ECG. Don't forget that within the period, the revenues that PDS collected are still sitting with PDS. And those monies are not for PDS. Those monies are the bona fide property of ECG, and that you have the assurances of government that every single penny with PDS will be recovered by the country.
I was going to go into the assets. You've mentioned a bit of it, a huge chunk of it, which was revenue collected. Beyond revenue collected, are there any other lingering assets in the possession of PDS which the Attorney General and your ministry will be seeking to appropriate back onto the state?
Yes, of them, but at this point in time, I would decide to leave those conversations for the Office of the Attorney General. You know, I'm a lawyer. These are the legal steps that the states must initiate. If you look at Article 88, it falls perfectly under the purview of the Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General. And so I wouldn't want to go into that. But you have the assurances of government that once this arbitration is over, once PDS's claims have been entirely dismissed, once the arbitration day commenced has confirmed that the demand guarantees were void ab initio, he assures that the Attorney General's office will act and recover every asset in possession of PDS.
Well, on the subject matter of concessions, the ministry is undertaking consultations at different levels for a new possible concession agreement, or seeking to lease some portions of ECG's distribution services, amongst many other things. There were 3 proposals which were put on the table as of the last time I was at the ministry personally. Has there been progress made on that front now that we know that the chapter of PDS is completely behind us?
The Honorable Minister reiterated some time back, the government has approval. You have cabinet giving approval that you should have private in the billing and collection.
Hello, Mr. Roxon, I'm losing you a bit. If you could kindly just, I don't know, position yourself possibly, or perhaps project a bit more so that if it's the line that's been faint, we can get.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, it's a lot better now.
And so the government to cabinet that they should probably set up the billing and collection of ECG, like it quickly initiated. And selected will be announced by the Ministry of Energy. But assurances you have is that we will not have cannibalized again like what we've seen at that period. That's what I can assure you.
Right then, Mr. Roxon, we'll leave it here. Appreciate you speaking to us this afternoon, and that's Richmond Roxon. He speaks for the Energy Ministry and joining us, but also just by way of a reiteration of the position of the Energy Ministry again in relation to these matters. We're going to put it on the screens right now so you can catch a glimpse for yourself exactly what the arguments are. The government notes that the situation, which is the arbitration and its outcome, should never have arisen in the first place. Poor decisions during selection and approval process of the concessionaire leading to formation of PDS under the previous administration directly contributed to the current outcome. They say that Ghana lost approximately 190 million in compact funding from U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation, which the president, John Mahama, by the way, says that he is looking for ways to have the country re-enter that again. It will be important to know what the outcomes from that are. But the ministry assures the public that all necessary legal and administrative steps are being taken, and we've just heard Mr. Roxon reiterates that again strongly for us this afternoon. Now, the legal team of the former CEO of the NP, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, has accused the Office of the Special Prosecutor of engaging in public theatrics following its recent claim that assets worth over 100 million cedis linked to him had been seized. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, in a statement earlier this week, said it had seized and frozen assets valued at more than 100 million and over 100,000 US dollars with additional assets under active tracing. These actions, the OSP said, were based on strong documentary, banking and transaction evidence linking the proceeds to the alleged offenses. In a statement released by Hay Partners, Dr. Mustafa Hamid's lawyers, they emphatically denied the OSP's claim, stating that no assets or businesses belonging to their clients have been identified, traced, or seized. A legal team further criticized the OSP for making public assertions inconsistent with its court filings, reminding the office of its constitutional and ethical obligations to act with fairness, integrity, and respect for the rights of individuals before the court. Well, we'll go for a quick break. When we return, the lawyers of Dr. Hamid, I should say, will join us via the phones, and then we can put a few questions to them. Stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because with this small paint, I paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Introducing Koa Mixture, Koa Plus Mixture, and Koa MT Mixture, brought to you by Koa Research and Manufacturing Limited Company, proudly made in Ghana. Formulated to support your general well-being. For those seeking immune system support, there is Koa Plus Mixture. Support your body's defenses and stay strong. When it comes to combating malaria, Koa MT Mixture will aid your treatments. For effective relief from malaria symptoms, try Koa MT Mixture. Koa Mixture, Koa Plus Mixture, and Koa MT Mixture are not recommended for pregnant women, lactating mothers, and children under 12 years. Always take a malaria test before using Koa MT Mixture. Choose Koa Mixture, Koa Plus Mixture, and Koa MT Mixture for your health needs. Available now at pharmacies nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact 0244 726611 or 0591 565 778. This advert is FDA approved.
It's match day. The rivalry, the history, the patching, the super clash. Hartlepool versus Asante Kotoko. Sunday, 9th November at Transport Stadium. Come witness the
Welcome back to the bulletin, and we're going on to the phone lines, but if you were not with us before we went on that break, has to do with lawyers of Dr. Mustafa Hamid asking the OSP to avoid the theatrics, the public theatrics he's engaged in. Joseph Dindiok Pemka, as a legal counsel for Dr. Hamid, is joined us via the phones. I appreciate your time. Counsel, you appear to have issues with the manner in which the OSP reacts to matters concerning your clients. Is that what we are to get based on the releases that we've seen from you?
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks to your cherished viewers and listeners, and thanks for having me. Now, you've read our response to the OSP's release. If you ask me, I'll tell you that what the OSP did is absolutely needless and uncalled for. You see, I have said it time and again, and I have referred lawyers. People are deliberately staying away from that provision. And let me repeat it. Go and check Rule 42 FII of LI 2423 of 2020. What the prosecution is doing is completely unacceptable. Inciting public sentiments against accused persons who are not convicts is completely unethical and unacceptable and must not be entertained a minute. None of the persons is a convict, and yet you run commentary as if they are convicts. You are talking about confiscation when you have not even convicted the persons and you have not linked whatever you are talking about to process of crime. Not even that is the case. But the continuous, deliberate attempt on the part of the OSP to malign and link Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid to the prosecutions they are engaging in. And the perspective is clear. Please go and take the charge sheet and the facts. The properties in question that he's talking about, none of the properties in that 100 million claim he's making, none is linked to Dr. Mustafa Hamid. None, not one.
Mr. Pamka, if you read clearly...
Hold on. The properties he claimed, he traced it to some of the accused persons and some companies that have no relationship with Mustafa.
Right.
And yet, anytime he's putting out information, he wants the public to believe that those properties worth 100 million Ghana cedis that he has traced are properties of Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, which claim is totally false by the facts available to him and the charges that he himself has presented against the accused in court.
And that's why I want to come in. That's why I want to come in relation to the claims and the fact sheet. Nowhere in what we've seen the OSP put up has he suggested or claimed that the 100 million cedis, $100,000 in assets seized and the likes is linked to Mustafa Hamid. He says the case. And so upon what basis are you saying that he is linking it to your client? Because he hasn't in any way, in the latest write-up that we've seen as well, and the facts which you are alluding to as well, and the charge sheet, hasn't pointed that it is linked to Mustafa Hamid, but has only said it is linked to the case.
So why, with the greatest respect and humility, my brother, with the greatest respect and humility, what is the reason for the latest statement that was issued? Didn't he say that he was responding to a statement by Mustafa?
And reiterated the fact.
In the first place, what you are saying
he was responding to Mustafa and reiterated the fact in relation to the case.
No, you see, you are getting it wrong, and I have to point it out to you.
Right.
If there are 10 accused persons, and then one accused person out of the 10 makes a statement and you are responding to it, and you talk about seizure of property worth 100 million, what are you insinuating? Does anybody need to know, need to ask you any further questions to know that you are trying to tell the public that the person's property that you have traced is 100 million. You
So
need anybody to tell you. You don't need anybody to tell you that. Because he was responding to a video that he has seen of Mustafa. You don't know what he said? That was what he said in the statement. That they have come, a statement, that a video has come to their attention. And they want to state for a fact that properties worth 100 million have been traced. So when you are responding to a video and you say that, then you can tell me that the person you are responding to has nothing to do with what you have said. Did he say that in the statement? Did he say in the statement that the 100 million they have traced has nothing to do with Mustafa? If that is part of the release, the OSC may read it out to me and let me hear you. Read any part of the statement of the OSC that says that, yes, we have traced property worth 100 million, but out of that property worth 100 million, nothing is traceable to Mustafa. Read that portion that says that to me. So
what we know is the portion reads that it is linked to the case.
And the commentary being run disgracefully. Why? Why are you defending them?
We are not seeking to defend. We're only trying to put forward the different arguments and the fact that if we read the latest response that came from the OSP, and obviously my production will try and pull up the fact sheet as well, because I don't have that readily here, but they will seek to bring that up if time will allow us to continue the conversation. He just points to the fact that the case, and so I'm asking that the insinuation, you argue, is that he's seeking to insinuate amongst many other things that the properties belong to Dr. Mustafa Hamid, and that's why you have a concern.
The concern. And in the charge sheet and the fact, he is very categorical that this company laundered money, that company laundered money, and there are directors of those companies. Mustafa is not one. He's not related to any of them. And then he goes ahead to say, this property has been traced here, this property it is in the name of this, is in the name of that. None is linked up to Mustafa. So why constantly, anytime I want to say anything, it is Mustafa's name? Why? What is the rationale behind it? Why? What's the rationale? So, look, my brother, I have stated it time without number, and of course without equivocation, that it is only, excuse me to say, enemies of the state who will say that graft should not be fought. Right. Any person who says graft should not be fought is an enemy of the state, including you and myself. But let's put things in perspective. The most important thing the public is waiting for, right, is that you secure conviction and then retrieve assets for the state. It is not public commentary about intentions. It is for you to go to court, prove your case. When you have secured conviction, you go through the processes and take assets, and everybody will clap for you. But it is very easy to speculate and write out things in the media, and people will start becoming hysteric and hate somebody. You shouldn't be doing that. Public trial. Right. So that at the end of the day, if the persons are found guilty, they suffer the penalty for it. Their properties are seized. Until then, Article 92C is very clear that they are presumed to be innocent. You don't incite the public against people who are on trial. It is unethical. It's against the dictate of LI 2423. And not in the countenance. It can be anybody. Not just Dr. Mustafa. It can be anybody. I'm against it. Whether MPP, NDC, or whichever party. Let's not do media trial. Because it is having the effect of handing over non-convicted persons to the public for distraction. And that can be dangerous to our democracy.
Right. Counsel, there's another aspect of this that on the 13th of November, you're moving an application, if I can call it that, in the court, or a motion in the court, seeking to have the passport of Dr. Hamid handed to him because he has a political engagement in Canada. Provide us with a bit more details as to what the basis of this attempt you're seeking to make is.
But it's a private application we are making. It has nothing to do with the case, per se. This one is Dr. Mustafa Hamid's personal engagement he has outside the country. And you know that when the bail was granted, one of the conditions that was given was that we should deposit the passport, and it has been deposited. So if you want to travel, you have to seek leave and permission of the court before you can travel. And that's what we have done. We have adumbrated our reasons and etc. It is for the court to determine. And I'm not ready to discuss the merits or otherwise or whatever is there.
What happens if the court denies it?
There is nothing that ties him from applying to the court and convincing the court to grant him permission to travel. There's absolutely nothing that prevents him from doing that. And it happens all the time.
Right.
So many things in the past, under MTT it happened, under NDT it will happen. If you are standing trial and your passport is actually deposited in the court, when you want to travel, you seek the permission of the court. And if the court is minded to grant it, you travel. If it doesn't, that's the end of the matter. So he's exercising his right, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Right then, appreciate you speaking to us. I was just asking the question, what happens if that is not granted by the courts? But I don't think you heard that because you said you weren't interested in discussing the merits of the matter.
If it is not granted by the courts, he will not travel. Because how will he travel without a passport?
Right.
If it is not granted by the court, it means it's not granted and he will not travel. So.
Counsel, as always, I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Joseph Dindiok Pemka. He is
I'm grateful.
He's a private legal practitioner as well as a legal counsel for former NPA boss Dr. Mustafa Hamid speaking to us this afternoon. And we'll move away from that and bring you some other matters because the Sunyani Technical University is struggling to recover and protect some 35 acres of land belonging to the institution, which has been encroached upon by faceless individuals working with land gas. The Vice Chancellor Engineer Professor Kwejo Edinkrapia told the Public Accounts Committee on Thursday that the university received a request of compensation from a woman who claimed to relate to a family that originally owned the land. After that demand and pending court cases, people started building on the 35-acre land under strong protection of land guards who sometimes threaten officials and students of the university. He lamented that all attempts to reclaim the parcel of land have not been successful, calling on government to intervene.
Free from encroachment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Provisy. So, less the 35. The rest of the land, is it safe?
Yes, please. The rest of the land is very safe because we have built almost across. But unfortunately, the other side, we didn't have any presence. And that is why when they started, it was difficult for us to show. In fact, we attempted building fence wall, they demolish. Anything that we put there, they demolish. We went to put 2 metal containers. We thought as for metal containers, they could not do anything harm to it. So the containers are still there, but they have sold the land around it. So if you attempt going there, you see people wielding machetes at you and all that. So it has become very difficult for the staff of the university to actually penetrate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Provisy. Please protect the rest for the good people of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
But sir, this issue came up in your last audit, didn't it?
Yes, please.
And the council had advised you to build a structure out there.
Yes, Honorable Chair, that is what I mentioned. So we sent containers there, metal containers. Previously, we had attempted building the fence wall. They demolished it. We went to council approved.
Christian Yale is our man in Parliament. Let's connect with him right now and get details of exactly what's been happening. Chris, we know public institutions have been appearing before the committee since yesterday. We've just walked through one of the issues from one of such institutions. What other matters have come up?
Eric, we know that yesterday the University of Education appeared before the Public Accounts Committee. One major infraction that was cited against them was an amount of some 28 million Ghana cedis, which the university paid to some staff as honorarium, but failed to provide the relevant document to support that amount. Also, there were some activities that the university had embarked on on, which they could not justify, which all accumulated this amount of 28 million Ghana cedis. The Public Accounts Committee referred the university to the Attorney General for prosecution. We know that today, for instance, as well, after the Sunyani Technical University had appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, the Koforidua Technical University also appeared before it, and as part of their infractions, Eric, I can tell you that they had actually made some payment of 37 million Ghana cedis for the construction of a number of projects. Now, these projects were to start in 2019. They did not start. They stalled for so many years. And when the university appeared before the committee, one of the reasons they cited was the COVID-19 and lockdown, which was in 2020. So the committee sought to even question why the project could not even start in 2019 until COVID struck. But we know that as well, they had paid some over 819 Ghana cedis or 1,000 cedis to some staff to have embarked on study abroad, and that as well, you have a lot of them refusing to return to post or defaulting in making payments. So those are some of the infractions. Always it has been about unearned salaries and also defaulting or overpayment of salary to unearned people.
That light, we know that for the university, for instance, where they say that the land encroachment has become an issue, what are the recommendations from PAC, if possible, or are there interventions being proposed to help them begin a reclamation of the said land before we move into what is expected to happen later on the floor of the House as well?
Eric, we know that the Sunyani Technical University is having about some 163 acres of land on which it is situated. Out of this 163 is the 35 which is being encroached on by some individuals. In fact, the Vice Chancellor tells the Public Accounts Committee that they are currently in court with about 11 different legal cases after that woman who claims to be a relative of the family that initially owned the land had come to demand compensation. Now, what it means also is that because it also borders on national security and they are unable to confront these land guards who are taking over the land, they had made that request from the committee that government steps in, the Ministry of Education steps in to ensure that they are able to do that. But the PAC chairperson, Abinose Asare, made a case that it is not just about making demands, but they need to also take action. For instance, you have the Bono Regional Security Council that is there, and the immediate district within which the Sunyani Technical University falls under. And so these are immediate authorities that they can engage to intervene, because you don't attempt to fight issues of security by using school authorities and by using students, which is so dangerous indeed. But when you have the RegSec, then indeed you can fall on the RegSec to intervene. But we know as well that, Eric, one of the universities, that is the Tamale Technical University, has been the only different one because their balance sheet was in good standing. They had all their figures right. They have reclaimed all the things all the infractions that were cited against them. And indeed, they had received that kind of commendation from leadership of the committee as well as even members of the committee. So far it has been only the Tamale Technical University that has really stood out of all the rest who have come with different sorts of infractions. But Eric, I can even tell you as well that we've had the University of Energy and Natural Resources, which is also dealing with a difficulty to recover some 1 million cedis of unearned salary. So these have been some of the suggestions that the universities immediately act right and engage their immediate authorities, including the security, to deal with some of these issues. Eric.
Quickly, just quickly on what we're expecting a lot later on the floor of the House. Give that to us briefly so that we can move on.
In fact, yesterday we were to have the Minister for Roads and Highways, Governs Kemini Amanor, appear before the House to answer some questions. But you know that due to the sword cutting for the road project, the road project which the president launched yesterday or cut the sword for yesterday, he couldn't appear before the House. So the communication we had received from the majority leader of government business was that he is likely to come before the House today. Most often you have a lot of constituency specific questions and a few more that are coming with some national interest. But there again you have that also about the Ghana Scholarship Authority bill, which has been pending from even the last sitting. It is currently at its consideration stage. It is likely that would also be programmed to be dealt with, and a number of statements that probably members of parliament would deliver. But also we are looking forward to possibly a surprise. You know that the police CID has been talking about the minority leader Alexander Markin concerning that altercation between him and a police officer, which they have brought some revelations concerning that. We hope to see that if possible we could get some reactions from him, or even on the floor as it were, you get him to comment about some of those issues. But this week has been big on Galamsey among the MPs who are rallying behind the call for a drastic measure to deal with it. Eric.
As always, I appreciate you and the details you bring to us. Christian Yale is my colleague in Parliament. He will take us on to By the Numbers. Now, prices are slowing, but pockets are still empty. The finance minister set a target to cut inflation to 8% from 23.8% in December 2024. The goal has almost been met. Inflation for October 2025 now stands at 8.1%, below the budget target of 11.9%. Let's hear from the finance minister. A bit of a challenge in
economic target for 2025. 1. Overall GDP growth at least 4.0%. At least. Non-oil GDP growth of at least 4.8%. End year inflation rate of 11.9%. Primary balance on commitment basis at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP.
Ladies and gentlemen, in October 2025, inflation reduced to 8% from 9.4% in September. This means that prices in Ghana were 8% higher in October 2025 than they were in October last year.
And for a lot of you watching at home, you're asking, what does this really mean? Lower inflation means prices are rising, but a bit slower. Not that they are falling, and the numbers may look good, but for many households, the cost of living may quite be different. Food remains the biggest expense, taking about 43% of household income, and that makes food inflation the real measure of how far your money goes. And the recent data shows that food inflation has eased, helping to pull down the overall rate. Imported goods have also stabilized with a stronger cedi, yet non-food costs such as housing, transport, and utilities remain quite high, keeping pressure on family budget. Exactly a week from now, the finance minister will present the 2026 budget statement. As we build up to that day, let's get into the data and see where the change is happening. And we're going on to our dashboard right now in relation to that particular subject matter. And that's where we're going right now, the dashboard, and bring you details as to what really the numbers are. And we're going there right about now in terms of looking at inflation and its trend for you, you heard the government statistician speak. And so this was the end of year target. Without a doubt, it is quite clear that the government has exceeded its budgetary target by some 3.8% already, because for the month of October, it was recorded at 8%. And so it means some good news in terms of the macro outlook of the economy. But again, it will come back to the question as to whether or not this is being felt in the pocket. But this is the trajectory of what inflation has looked like since the start of the year, where we were at 23.5%. Now we're down to 8% as at the 10th month of the year. And so in 10 months, we've brought it from 23.5 to 8%. What are the key drivers, reason why it continues to remain at 8%? We see recreation, sports, and culture, things that people are expending money on in terms of the little debriefs after a stressful day and week, leading the way with 15.1%. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. And mind you, prices of fuel has dropped in the last few weeks, but comparatively, as compared to other years when inflation was high in the 2020s, you'd say that it's come down considerably, but it continues to be among the many things which is keeping inflation in the regions where we're seeing, despite many saying that, it's great. And then there is housing as well. Water and electricity, we know that despite the positives, we've seen tariffs increase marginally on electricity. Water didn't get anything at the last time of check. But all of that and more is a second contributor as to why inflation remains where it is. Then there is the alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and then narcotics. There is clothing and footwear. There is personal care and other matters. And then restaurants and accommodation services, amongst many other things. Non-food inflation overall, 6.9%, and that's what the numbers look like for you. That's it by the way of By the Numbers, and we'll go for yet another break. We'll return with a bit more in terms of the news. Welcome back to the bulletin. Now, in a forceful strike against illegal mining scourge in the country, the Environmental Protection Authority has launched a massive seizure targeting excavators, shangfangs, and other equipment used in Galamsey areas. The multi-day operation has seen over several machinery confiscated from illicit mining sites across the Ashanti region. The move marks a wide effort in the government's fight against Galamsey, moving beyond arrest of low-level operators to permanently disabling the expensive machinery that forms the backbone of the illegal industry. Ibrahim Abubakar is tagging along with the team, but let's listen to Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche, who is the CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, speak to the first day of operations.
We are deeply worried because our estimation and also reports from World Bank confirms that we have about 3 million hectares of land that are degraded, and it takes us all to restore the land. If we have to get all this land back to its original state, it involves backfilling the holes, giving the water or the rivers their original path, planting the trees that were there, and get the place back in order. That's a huge cost on the state. Government, EPA, we are advocating for private sector to come in to support with reclamation of our land, then to restore our water bodies as well. So EPA is in the process looking for funds, seeking, requesting for proposals in the reclamation of our land and the cleaning of our water bodies. So that's what we are currently doing. It's worrying, but it's our mandate to also protect the environment.
Now, the investigative committee formed to look into the recent boat accident that occurred in the Karachi East municipality has submitted its reports to the Ghana Maritime Authority. The boat accident, which occurred on a section of the Volta Lake last month, claimed 11 lives, including 11 children. Correspondent Faisal Abdul Idris is joining us via the phones for a bit more in terms of an update. Faisal, do we have an idea what is contained in this investigative report?
So, yesterday, the investigative committee submitted the reports to the Ghana Maritime Authority and its board at Karachi. Prior to that presentation of the report, the Ghana Maritime Authority had been engaging boat operators in Bando, Toko, Dambai, among others. The details of the report, the full details of the report, have not been made public. But what we know is that there are two recommendations that were highlighted yesterday. One is the issue of local boat operators who are using fishing boats to carry passengers. The committee is saying that the GMA and all other relevant authorities must take steps to halt the usage of fishing boats for commercial purposes. The committee is also recommending that the GMA and its partners must ensure that boat operators who are carrying passengers do so only when they have life jackets. These are the key recommendations the committee have made. We are yet to have the full details of the report, but let's listen to Naval Captain Isaac Mahama, who had been speaking to us right after the presentation of the report to the GMA.
Boat operators to stop using fishing boats for carrying passengers. Fishing boats are made for fishing and not for carrying passengers. They have boats that are designed for carrying passengers, so that we all resort to using those boats for carrying passengers. And the service boat that they normally use is only for a family, a husband, wife, and children when they are going to market as a private boat. And it's not for carrying goods and then passengers, life jacket. Once you are on the boat, you should wear your life jacket. So that's another.
Faisal, just quickly, we know the Maritime Authority has been speaking as well. What exactly have they been saying?
The Ghana Maritime Authority says They are yet to get the full details on reports. They received it yesterday. They'll go back and take a look at it and also ensure that the recommendations that have been made are fully implemented. But as I have indicated, they have earlier promised that they are already working on making life jackets available to the boat operators, which will be sold to them at discounted fees. And it's important to also note that if you go across the landing sites, you go to Pando Toko, Dambai, Ketekrachi, even after the recent disaster, boat operators are still operating without life jacket, raising so much concern among residents. Let's have a listen to what the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority said yesterday after they received the report.
Right.
Office here. The office accommodation has been secured, and then we are posted staff here. So the working visit is also allowed the board and management to see the office space and to see how we quickly make sure that the office they start working. Whilst here, we are taking opportunity to also receive the committee investigation report into the Akuma incident. As you know, Her Excellency the Vice President herself was here. So it is important that whenever there is any casualty, it is mandatory in the Ghana Maritime Authority that it must be investigated, whether it's casualty of small boat or a ferry or a ship at sea. So that is a routine thing. And in record time, the committee has worked together in the report. So we have received the report and we are here to see what is in the report. And as the board chair has indicated, the report will be implemented.
Faisal, thank you very much for those details. That's my colleague Faisal Abdul Idris speaking to us. That's it from us this afternoon here on News Central. We're back again tomorrow. God willing, with another exciting edition. Normal programming. The afternoon show is next on your television. At 4 p.m. there will be Business Brief as well as News in Brief. 7 p.m. News 360. 10 p.m. Ghana Tonight. Do stay tuned in. I am Mawuena Egbeta. Many thanks for watching.